Welcome to Live, Let Thrive, a podcast about the Airbnb life, the share economy, and everything in between. Here are your hosts, Myka and Steve.
Hello.
And welcome back to another exciting episode
Of Live,
Let
Thrive. What is up, Myka, man?
I am good. How you doing, Stevie Stacks?
Wonderful, bro. Wonderful. It's a beautiful Thursday here in the DF Dub. This is Live, Let Thrive, your favorite Airbnb, VRBO, Homeaway, Lyft, Uber, Turo, all that share economy stuff podcast in the world. And we have a very special guest today, Myka.
Who we got? What episode number is this?
This is episode 178, actually. And we have a special guest named Brian Payne, bringing the Payne today. You want to know about
House
Brian?
of Payne. How y'all doing?
House of Payne. I like it. We're doing good, man. Let me read your little bio real quick. It says, while Brian, I like how you wrote it in the third person. That helps, because I've always had to change it for people. While Brian was working in healthcare, he was renting out his furnished rentals to traveling nurses. He had 10 units and they all stayed full because there was a constant flow of new healthcare workers being hired by local hospitals. In 2014, he launched Furnished Finder as an answer to the healthcare housing crisis and now has over 70,000 monthly rentals, representing a potential of 20 million bookable nights per month. And we all give money to Brian. We all do it. And welcome to the show, Brian.
Glad to be here, guys. Thank you, Steve and Myka.
Thanks.
Excited to just chat and see what's going on with you guys.
Oh, wow. That's cool. I didn't know your backstory, man. So you were in healthcare and then, just started renting out furnished rentals and then you're like, wow, I need to make a website.
I mean, we all do it, right? We kind of look for an angle, while I was working for a company called Boston Scientific, I was selling pacemakers and defibrillators. So going in with these electrophysiologists, cardiologists, and helping them implant these devices. I had a lot of access to a lot of travel nurses. So, real estate kind of runs in my blood and my wife's blood. So, she had said, hey, we're just going to rent a condo when we're going to get married. And she threw it up on Craigslist, furnished. And no sooner than that did we get contacted by a travel nurse staffing company. They reached out to us, said, hey, can I slam a nurse in there for 3 months? We said, absolutely. And then after that, they said, how about another one? And how about another one? So we said, we might be onto something. So we bought a handful of units and they continued to stay full, like the bio said. And we just kind of kept growing from there. And at some point we just realized look, we're limited by the amount of physical properties we can have, but there might be a bigger opportunity. And that's kind of how we started with Furnished Finder.
So what market were you guys in to where you're just getting nurses like that back to back?
Yeah, I mean, travel nurses, they travel all over the US. If you have a hospital in or around your town within 30 minutes drivable distance, chances are they're coming to the area. Where we were was lovely Bakersfield, California. So that was there's kind of a high turnover. It's outside of LA over the Grapevine, about 90 minutes or so. So just enough to kind of get it out of commute range. And although I love it in terms of the people, not the most desirable place in the whole world. So there's just a lot of turnover. So there's just a lot of travel nurses coming through there. We were just sitting on it. We didn't know it. But turns out that, that area is one of the, hotter areas for travel nurses in the country. But, all the major cities that you would expect, DC, Nashville, Denver, San Jose, California, San Diego, LA, Austin, Dallas, Houston. I mean, on and on. But it's not just kind of cities, it's rural as well, because there's hospitals everywhere and we need healthcare providers more than ever.
I'm happy you brought up rural because that's where I was going to lead into. Have you seen any market gaps where, hey, there's this many nurses asking for housing on Furnished Finder, but there's not enough housing available, like short-term rentals available. Have you seen those areas?
I mean, yeah, there's always going to be those areas. So, I mean, it depends. We built our system to kind of track where the travel nurses are going. And that was since 2014. So we have a lot of data and we know kind of their migration patterns, if you will. So yeah, we're pretty well covered in the map with about 70,000 listings, and growing. So, but yeah, I mean, it really just kind of depends on who's hiring, where the biggest needs are. Everything has changed, obviously, in the last 15, 20 months, to where, they cut off elective procedures, and that really kind of upset the balance between the travelers and the landlords. But that has since that ship has been righted, so to speak. And then I guess we'll say with this Delta wave, everything has it's changed for the better. I mean, for Furnished Finder, it's been amazing. We're very well positioned to handle both waves of COVID. First wave was, you had a lot of companies that maybe they were in short-term rentals, Airbnb, VRBO, things like that. And they were looking after those nightly. Well, when leisure travel shut down, a lot of people come looking to Furnished Finder because we're kind of that in the middle, sort of in that sweet spot. And then similarly, same with business travel, shut down at the same time. So we were just well positioned at that point to kind of handle that. And now, things have changed in terms of travel nurses. They're still very, very steady. Now that elective procedures have come back, travelers are traveling as much, if not more than ever, just because of the demand. But now travel nurses are competing against, all different types of travelers, remote workers. I mean, people maybe like yourselves realize that, hey, I can go live in Austin for 6 months. Let's go visit our family out there and we'll make it a work trip. And if you're a remote worker, monthly furnished housing is something that, either you're considering or have considered, just because the demand is there and people have more freedom and more choice than ever before.
So back in the beginnings of Furnished Finder, because you must have looked at other avenues when you said, oh wow, this is decent money renting out spots to traveling nurses, and you must have obviously looked at, oh, we'll just throw it on Airbnb, see what happens, or throw it on VRBO or whatever there was available. And what was the moment where you said, well, this isn't really built for like traveling nurses, and there's nothing really out there? I guess corporate housing by owner was one, but when was the moment you're like, I need to make something here, I need to build something, and how did that go?
Yeah, it's a great question. We realized as landlords, like that was our niche. We loved renting to travel nurses. Their background screened already. So they're going to be, they're there to work. They're not vacationers. They're not partiers. They're there to do a job. They're going to work 4 12-hour shifts. They're going to come home. They're going to make something to eat, maybe watch a Netflix show and crash out. So, in terms of wear and tear, it was, the turnaround is every 3 months, and about a third of the time they do renew. So we just liked those type of tenants. They were easy for us. I had a job, like we were saying, we have to, you got to do what you have to do until you get there. And that's what I was doing. I was working as a pacemaker rep, working for Boston Scientific, great company, really enjoyed it. Gave me a lot of insight in the, I was around a lot of these travel nurses that I was renting to. So it was kind of a unique situation. But at some point it was like, as a landlord, I was looking for 30 days and greater. I didn't want the high turnover. I didn't want and all the issues that came with it. So I just realized I looked at, of one that you mentioned and a few others, and just there was nothing in between. It felt like, you've got 12-month over here and you've got nightly over here. And of course, I think, Airbnb did have 30 days and greater, but it was never, I know that they released for work as well, but it never seemed to be a priority for them. And so anyway, we said, look, if it's important to us as landlords, there's got to be a nationwide market for it. And I got to believe that, other landlords think like we do. So let's go out, kind of cover the business and in a lot of prayer and everything else. And off we went.
So we've all had this moment, in dealing with Airbnb and maybe, I got this idea that's a good niche that doesn't quite work with Airbnb. I have a few. I go to buy the GoDaddy domain names and I mess around with it a little bit. And of course, I'm like, it's gonna cost me a lot of money to actually go through with this. So how do you? What was your next step? How did you know anything about building websites or anything like that?
At this point, I'll say a couple things. One is when you're launching something like this, have a plan, know your business model, and surround yourself with people you trust. And I was very, very lucky. I worked with my wife and my brother-in-law, so the trust part was there, and luckily they're two of the most brilliant people I know. So that helps as well. And so other than that, it was kind of just one of those things where, okay, so back to your question was the, hold on, bring me back. Sorry.
So you get the idea. You're like, okay, I need to make a website. It's like, what do you do? I know you
right.
Go to GoDaddy, get the name. I don't know how do you do it?
Yeah, it was it was very, very new for me. So like I said, I quit my job and went all in here with Furnished Finder. And it was one of those things where, although I had no experience creating a website, we had, and knowing what I know now, would I have gone this far? I'm not sure. It's a beast. It's like an iceberg. Like, you see the platform on the very top, but there's so much that goes into it. And we really haven't even scratched the surface. There's so much more that we can and want to do. But yeah, it was extremely difficult. Like I said, a lot of prayers, a lot of tears at the breakfast table. But, we knew that we had a really good idea. And we knew that if we had the right business model, we kind of had the right team in place, we could build it. And we did. And it took us many years, and and a couple of business model shifts as well. So like I say, know your business model so you don't have to go through that brain damage and loss of time and such. So we came in early in 2014, and our approach was, hey, let's go after the stipend travelers. So in terms of, medical travel, there's about 90% of them will take the stipend. Airbnb really paved the way for travelers to just give them the choice and just to empower them to say, hey, I can book my own housing. I don't need, my staffing company to provide my own housing. So they really paved the way and just empowered travelers to think that way. So we just kind of found a niche and worked our way through it. And we just listened to our customers, listened to our travelers, finding out what they wanted, and went from there.
So yeah, I guess what I'm getting at is so I have an idea. This is a cool niche in the Airbnb, or I'm sorry, the short-term rental, long-term rental, mid-term rental, whatever niche I come up with. Yeah. Like I gotta create a website to capture these people. How much money do I need to get started? How much? I mean, I know it's a general question, but like we've had the guy from Turnover B&B, the founder of Turnover B&B, the cleanings for,
Sure.
Find a cleaner for Airbnb. And I've talked to him a few times, and And he said he's spent over $1 million on his website already, and it's still not
Yeah.
where he wants to get it.
Time is the biggest thing. Of course, money, but it's so heartbreaking, and I feel him. It's so heartbreaking when you spend, let's say, 6 months and whatever thousands of dollars to build something that you want, and you just never quite get it there, and you have to scrap it, and then you lose that time and the money, and it's really difficult. I mean, there's no easy button. There really is not. We've learned it. I think, we used to say that we made sales despite ourselves. I think there's just God is good and gave us the opportunity to compete in this market and create this little this niche, which is expanding. And there's no easy button. If you want a number, it's easily $500,000. We were a little bit different, so it was one of those things where we said, hey, we believe in the model. We believe in what we can do. So let's go for it. So we quit our jobs and all the money that we had put in. And it was totally bootstrapped. We didn't take outside money. We're still kind of that same type of company. There's no easy way to do it. There's a lot of brain damage and a lot of swings and misses. I'll tell you, a lot of swings and misses. There are no guarantees, and it's hard.
Okay. I guess some questions, Mike.
Yeah, is there like a particular type of housing that you guys find to be more desirable? Like for you guys to grow your company, is there a particular type of housing that people need to be putting on your platform to make it, to really entice more travel nurses to come on to Furnished Finder?
Yeah, it's a great question. We're not the vacation rental, so the beachfront mansion is probably not going to do very well on our site. But these are traveling professionals. And we keep saying travel nurses, but there's so many out there now, remote workers, digital nomads. You have a lot of people in oil, ag, engineers, students, professors, doctors, all of the above. So lumping them all in. But I was listening to one of your previous podcasts, and somebody was saying, hey, in DC area, you can get, 1-bedroom condo for under $100,000. That was kind of our model. We were looking for low maintenance, 1-2 bedroom, or, 3 2s, no pools, things like that we could easily put $5,000-$10,000 worth of furniture in there and start renting to travel nurses. So, some travel nurses like to rent rooms. They can have the camaraderie. They have, they can share a space. Feels like home. It's better than a hotel, and the price point is more attractive. There's other travelers that really want their own place. I don't blame them. So, I want my own place. I want a dishwasher. I need washer, laundry in the unit and things like that. So, short answer is, hey, get a 1 and 2 bedroom with laundry and dishwasher and parking, and you'll be set.
And blackout curtains.
Yeah, you like those? Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny because the HOA sent me a message that, hey, one of your tenants has put foil on the windows. I'm like, oh crap. And so I asked her, and she said, yeah, I just like it really dark. I was like, oh, you should have told me. It's kind of an Airbnb, and we would have travel nurses in there too. So I didn't have blackout curtains. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go put some tomorrow. I'll be over there, put some blackout curtains for you.
Yeah.
We can't have foil on the windows.
No foil. Right. Yeah.
It works
Your neighbors
great.
love that, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, I did it at, back in my very first house, which, kind of in the hood, but I would black out my room because I worked midnight shifts. I blacked out everything.
Yeah.
But foil works great, man. So I'll
tell you, you can't buy class like that. Foil on the windows. Class like that doesn't happen overnight. So.
Met her through Furnished Finder. Nah, she's cool. Cool girl. But yeah, so What's different about y'all's model is from Airbnb or VRBO or whatever,
Yeah.
is you let us deal directly with the guests, right? With the nurses.
Right.
So okay, we found her. Here's a lead. We talk to them, then and say, oh, they like our place. I'd like to rent it for 3 months, which is mostly it's mostly 3 months. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then the rest is up to us. So it's cool. I mean, me and Myka have been doing rentals for a while, and we've been doing Airbnb for a while. So okay, drawing up a contract, it's no big deal. Now that could be a hurdle for a lot of people that just sign up for Furnished Finder, right? They don't know how to do a lease contract and stuff like that. What advice do you have for them?
Yeah, great question again. KeyCheck is a company that we own, and they're a sister company. They do tenant screening, custom leases, and they also do online rent payment. And so in your Furnished Finder dashboard, you can go ahead and schedule any of those that you want. So while we're building it into the workflow, you can just go ahead, sign up at keycheck.com, or you go straight into your Furnished Finder dashboard and you could do that. And so we just give you the tools to do it yourself. And it's a unique model. I mean, again, it's not Airbnb where it's bookable right then and there, because think about it. It's like you said, an average is 3 months. You kind of want to know as a landlord who's going to be staying in your place for 3 months, especially if maybe it's a basement unit or, kind of a shared type of property. So we recommend that even though travel nurses are tenant screening, travel nurses are great tenants, we still recommend screening them just because they're people, and just because they can get hired and pass a background check doesn't mean that they can manage their money, or they haven't been evicted a couple times, or they haven't paid their car payment, or they've got a judgment or a lien or credit score of 520. So always do those credit checks. And so we give the tools to these types of landlords, try to educate them as much as possible. But it's a model where you list, you create your own lease, you can schedule your own online rent payment. But the thing is that you collect 100% of the rental fees. We're not in the middle. You do pay us a very nominal fee on the front end as a membership, and that's a 12-month membership. It goes for $99 unless you're a hotel or apartment complex, and it's a little bit more. But a very simple model by design, and a very low price point by design.
No, we love it because, like I said, we're used to, having long-term rental, short-term rental. So, and we get to keep all the money. It's like, oh, cool, know, because sure, Airbnb makes it convenient. They can book and then they're in there. But like you said, it's a 3-month booking most of the time, and then we don't know who it is really. And a lot of the places we do long-term, the HOA does want to know who it is, do a little information on them, stuff like that. But it's great. We get to keep all the money for ourselves.
Right. Well, we kind of built our a system around the system that we would want to use as well. And we were kind of utilizing these systems just to get tenant leads. That's what we wanted. So we would get an Airbnb listing. We'd put stuff on Craigslist, put it on Zillow or wherever. And we would try to, you have to be careful with a couple of those platforms because online housing scams are crazy. But all we really wanted was the tenant leads, so we built a system that provides tenant leads to landlords, and they can go ahead and pick the best tenant after kind of screening them the way that they want to. And then their furnished rental or furnished rentals are full for the next 3 months, and then they do it all again.
Do you guys plan on maybe in the future making it so someone can instant book a property for 3 months or something like that? Like, hey, they've passed the Furnished Finder background check and boom, they can instant book for 3 months. They're verified. Do you guys plan on eventually doing something like that?
Well, we are doing hotels, and that's our focus right now. We know that hotels are an important part of the journey for these travelers. So hotels are easy to integrate with, and we've signed agreements with all of the big ones. So we are doing online booking of hotels. But again, as a landlord, for me, I always wanted to screen my own tenants. So an instant booking, the short answer is yes, but we'll still give the landlord the control that they need, where they can approve, they can screen, and then they can book. But just allowing anybody to book for 3 months, I don't think that's very responsible. And I'll tell you why. Is because if I had bad credit, I would flock to that site and say, I can get into a place for 3 months. They don't even check my credit because my credit's horrible. And, and then who knows what can happen once they're in, right? So, evictions and things like that. We concentrate on traveling professionals. They have a contract. They're there for 3 months. And then they typically move on to the next city. So yes, for the Instabook, sort of is the answer.
And you kind of surprised me. You guys said you're doing hotels. So my friend, he just did a exit interview with the traveling nurse, and he was asking, hey, how do we bridge the gap of getting you guys into these short-term rentals? And that's one thing she brought up. She goes, well, most of us still use hotels. Do you know how to bridge that gap? And is there like a demographic that would prefer the hotel over the house or the condo? Do you guys know that information?
Man, it's like you guys have planned this out or something. You guys are asking great questions.
We don't plan. So.
Really? We're just in the space, man.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, let's keep going then. So I think there are a lot of people that like hotels. For me, it would be a short-term bridge until I get to where I'm going. Like I would want, like I said earlier, I would want a 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom. I'd want, a dishwasher. I'd want your laundry and, convenient place, things like that, convenient area. Hotels, like say maybe your place that I'm looking at. I really like your place, Myka, but it's not available for 3 weeks, but my contract starts today. Well, I'll park in a hotel because your condo is worth waiting for. So I'll book your condo for 2 months or, 3 months, but, say it's not quite ready. I'll pop into a hotel for sure. Another reason why they might use hotels is, again, online housing scams are crazy out there. Yeah. So, and I'll tell you a little bit about what Furnished Finder does to combat that. But about hotels, a lot of travel nurses or, other types of travelers will just say, hey, let's go and get boots on the ground. Let's park in a hotel for a week or two. We'll go and we'll visit, different places, visit different landlords, look at some real places, and then I'll sign an agreement and hand over my deposit money. So there's a couple different scenarios where hotels, play a part.
Yeah, they help fill in the gaps.
Yeah. And, and I guess the other third, I do know that some travelers really do like hotels. They like the amenities, they like the privacy, and they like the early out. So if their contract gets canceled tomorrow, well, they just wave to the front desk person and they're gone. There's no lease, even though most of our leases on Furnished Finder are month to month. With these types of travelers in mind. Hotels have the easiest type of cancellation policy, right?
Just leave, yeah.
Just leave, right?
Do you guys have I have a bunch of 3-2s. They're right across the street from the hospital, and people are willing to pay the extra, and they're saying, hey, I got my family coming in town. Now, that's just a property out in rural Arkansas, right? Now, my ones in Dallas, they're 2-2s, but I'm not getting as many of the family travelers coming in. Do you know where the influx of the travel nurse who's, hey, I'm traveling with my family? Do you know the demographic of them? How are they that often? I guess, how hard are they to find? Because,
Yeah, I mean, you'll see them come through your dashboard. I would say the majority of these types of travelers will travel solo. Sometimes they'll say, hey, it's close enough where my husband can visit, because a lot of these travelers will have a mortgage. They'll have a home somewhere else, but they take a travel assignment and they're gone for 3 months, and the husband will come in, hang out once a month or something like that. But, some of them also do travel with the family and the kitchen sink. So it really just depends. I don't think I could put my thumb on it.
Doggies, they bring doggies.
Yeah. We found about maybe 25% come with the pets.
Yeah.
I understand, the debate is, hey, what do the travel nurses do with a pet when you're at work? And I know that there's a lot of different sitting services, walking services, things like that. But I understand the pet thing as well. Hey, it could be a lonely gig for 3 months without your best friend. So I understand that.
Nice.
Go ahead, Steve.
Oh, I was going to ask, how did Furnished Finder become synonymous with travel nurses? Because it's not in the name, it's Furnished Finder. How did it become like that's the go-to for travel nurses?
Yeah, well, it's not by accident. Again, that's who we focused on. You're right. It's not in the name. We just, by who we aligned ourselves with, we partnered with a lot of medical staffing companies in that industry. And we have probably over 100 medical staffing companies using us, and referring us to their stipend travelers. So really, it's about the kind of the company that we kept. That was our business model, instead of kind of creating a monthly platform where it's good for everybody, which it is. It's available for everybody. We did go after the travel nurse because we knew that they were a very, very steady source of tenant leads. And ultimately, that's what we wanted as landlords, a steady source of tenant leads.
So what were some of the early names of Furnished Finder? The more embarrassing, the better.
Oh, that's funny. Well, we also have travelnursehousing.com. We're kind of fans of just telling exactly what it is. So we own travelnursehousing.com. And that helps a lot in terms of brand recognition, because all of that business funnels right through Furnished Finder. But, I can't remember some of the more embarrassing names. To tell you the truth, I think it's been so long that it's just the only thing I can think of is Furnished Finder.
Now, so since you said you guys targeted all these travel nurse housing companies, like right now, you pointed out earlier, you have all the remote workers. Is there any other demographic of travelers that you guys see that are spiking, that you could start, catering Furnished Finder to?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. They're finding us just because monthly short-term housing is hard to find sometimes. You can go to apartments.com, whom we love, but you can go to apartments.com and sometimes it's difficult to find the furnished ones, or Zillow, or any of these other platforms. And it's difficult to really define the furnished ones. And if they are furnished, are they truly furnished, or are they just saying, oh, well, we can furnish them through court for another $750. So it's hard to really, and then what about utilities? Do I have to put utilities in my name, or, so it's just one of those things where it was always a little bit hard to find. So it's one of the kind of the reasons we did it.
All right. Bones to pick with Furnished Finder. Yeah, and Myka, you might have some. I got a few. Nothing crazy. Wow, it is not even your fault. It's why are there so many? It seems there's so many that want to stay at the Taj Mahal and pay $900 a month. How does that even? I mean, I don't understand it. Maybe they're coming from like a rural podunk place instead of they can get to Taj Mahal for $900 a month, but they're coming to Dallas and they want to spend $900 a month. We're paying like $1,500 a month in the mortgage or whatever. How
I get you, and it's an education problem. We have, if we're talking about specifically travel nurses, there's a lot of this is what happened in the industry. COVID hit, a lot of travel nurses split, or a lot of nurses retired early. So we have a whole new people, but it's a transient industry by design, right? So you're always having a new influx of travel nurses, and they're fairly young. So I think it's an educational problem to where they go, hey, my place in, Jacksonville, I got my 2-bedroom, 2-bath for $800 a month. And I'm assuming that's going to be the same in Dallas or San Francisco, right? No, not right. So it's an education problem. It really is. And some of them feel fairly entitled to, hey, I'll never pay that. Well, guess what? That's the going rate. And that's called market rate. And that's what the market will bear. And if you really want what you're asking for, then you're going to pay for it, because you guys as landlords, you're not willing to give, discounts necessarily just because they're in a certain profession. I love travel nurses, but, sometimes they really do need to educate themselves on, the housing costs and what's expected in the cities that they're looking for a job. So we have a budget tool. They can kind of type in and say, hey, I'm looking at San Francisco, I'm looking at DC, and then I'm looking at Biloxi, Mississippi. Well, one of those, you're going to get a lot more for your money than the other two, right? Mm-hmm. So they can kind of go through, type in those areas and get a good idea of kind of the housing costs and what to expect before, they just get off the bus and land there and just go, wait, are you kidding? It's $2,800 for a studio. It's $3,200 for a 1-bedroom, yeah, sometimes, and housing right now is gangbusters. It is, it's really, really competitive. So if if travel nurses think that they have a corner on the market or they deserve something, well, they're going to get left in the dust.
We've seen their salaries online. Hey, come work over here for $100 an hour, and so.
These crisis rate pays. They really can make some decent money, but again, a lot of them also do have to pay a mortgage at home.
That's true.
Another thing to also look at, to kind of add on to what Steve's saying, and to kind of go into a little bit of background research. So a couple of weeks ago, I did research on exactly what Steve was asking. And this is for the people out there. This is something to consider. We looked up, hey, how much does a travel nurse make in this area? And actually, Texas and Arkansas are the lowest places they get paid.
Yeah, so it does vary.
Yes. So if you're looking in Texas and Arkansas, they're going to go for a cheaper rate because they don't get paid as much as someone going out somewhere else. So that's another thing.
Florida's like that as well. I think it depends on hospital contracts or, something above my head, but yeah, it's not one size fits all in terms of their rates. And it gets pretty aggressive. Like some of the biggest facilities are paying the most, which is leaving the little facilities that can't pay that out in the lurch. So it's affecting our healthcare system in the short term as well.
So how does it work? Like, you were in the industry and you have a lot of ties to the industry. So does a hospital say, okay, we'll pay, I don't know, anywhere from $50 to $100 an hour, all the overtime you want. And then, and do they give stipends for a place to stay? Do they give you $1,000 a month for a place to stay, or $2,000 or whatever?
Yeah, I think they'll look at the stipend, the cost of living and things like that. They will get a stipend. It's a tax-free stipend, and it does depend on, I think they have a house of their own, or they're paying, you can't kind of double dip for tax reasons. But yeah, they do get stipends for sure. Okay, but you can't think of it one for one and go, okay, well, San Francisco, it's going to be a higher cost city. So that stipend should reflect that. For whatever reason, I think a lot of the medical staffing companies, it's like buying a car. Okay, well, you want a lower down payment? Great. Well, you're going to have, you're going to raise something else up here. Mm-hmm. So they can kind of mess around with the numbers and, you want a good, housing stipend? Great. Well, your pay is going to go down. So there's only so much money, so to speak, in these housing contracts. So, but yeah, they do get stipend contract, or they do get stipends with their contracts.
Cool. I'm gonna call Joe Biden, see if he can get some money to these travel nurses so they can pay some more rent to us.
Man, they deserve it. They're working so hard, truly.
Really, yeah.
Yeah, they're the backbone of our healthcare system. They really are.
Big time. So what else? You had some questions, Myka?
Oh, I was going to also throw in there, like, yeah, another place that travel nursing is really needed and they'll pay that extra stipend is Nashville, Tennessee. I don't know what's going on out there, but they'll pay $4,000 or $5,000. I don't know if it's just the scenery or what, but yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So,
yeah, I think some of it, part of the travel is the experience. So, they may go, look, I've always wanted to go to Nashville, and you could, enter in any city, but I've always wanted to go to Nashville. And I know that it's probably not going to be the most lucrative assignment for me in terms of me putting cash in my pocket, but I want to go. I want to experience that for 3 months. I want to, see the area, and they do it. And so that's one of the benefits of being a travel nurse, is that you can pop around and visit, the cities that you've always wanted to live there for, 3 or 6 months, depending if you like it or not. And you really get a sense of the area, plus your specialty as well. They can kind of pop in different areas as well to see which type of specialty they like. And then there's always an element of, like I said, transiency, where some nurses, they take a full-time job. They go, man, I love it here in Nashville, I'm staying. And they take a full-time position, and they're out of the workflow, so to speak, in terms of travel nurse, and then a new one comes in. So it's always a kind of constant flow of nurses coming through.
And even alluding back to that younger nurse coming in, because I just had a younger nurse book one of my places by herself, and she paid for a whole 3-bed, 2-bath, but she probably ain't got no mortgage back home. She's young.
Yeah, that might be the case, right?
Yep. Yeah, she's early mid-20s. Now,
and she probably didn't have a lot of options. Like, hey, if your place is available, like, there's really, I'll take it, even though a 3-2 might be more than a 2-2, right? Or a 1-bedroom. But, the inventory is, we've got a ton of properties on there, but they are flying off the shelves.
Easily. Yeah.
Yeah. Because one thing I've dabbled, we try to put our places as many spots as we can online, and one thing I've dabbled in is Facebook Marketplace. But I'll tell you that, I get nervous with the people that reach out to me from Facebook Marketplace.
Oh, yeah.
And not a lot of them aren't travel nurses. So I love how your site, it is travel nurses. And I've knock on wood, I've had great experiences with the travel nurses. They pay rent on time.
Yeah.
They're great. They just go there for, to sleep. They want a good place to sleep, good, comfortable bed. And that brings me to another thing. What are some big tips you have for making a great travel nurse friendly place?
Oh, perfect. I just went over to Jane's house. Jane is a woman who we know, and she's wonderful. And she just decked out her basement, completely decked out her basement just for this purpose. And she did such a good job. I went over there just as a friend and a favor, and I was so impressed with what she did. But she made it a space where, travelers can feel they could feel at home. They have the space they need. They have everything that they need. And the price point is in range. I mean, she's not offering any huge discounts, but it's also not the most expensive property on there. So, basically some of the things that she did, just the kind of the little touches are, like you mentioned, Steve, blackout curtains. Her furniture, I mean, she repurposed a lot of furniture. Like, she went to, let's say, Goodwill, and found 3 bar stools, and they were fine. She painted them white. They look crisp, new, and clean. They look beautiful. She had a little table behind the couch as well, so you can kind of eat while you watch TV and things like that. Travel nurses, they want smart TVs. They want at least one smart TV. They need internet. They don't necessarily need cable, but they do need fast internet. So if you're going to, get splurge, you need to get the fastest package you have. It's expected. It's the kind of bottom line of expectation for travel nurses. Let's see what else. If you have space, and maybe you're in that spot where you're like, I'm not sure, we don't have the space for a washer and dryer. Well, can you create one? Because if you can create that space for the washer and dryer, it will be a game changer. It could be, it could do a few things for you. It's going to, you could probably get another $100 or so a month. And your place is just going to be more desirable than as opposed to saying, well, you just have to walk down the street. It's 2 blocks. It's very easy. It's still not that convenient, even if it's right next door. So, washer and dryer is really, really important. Everything else kind of dishwasher, you don't have to spend a ton of money. I know you have a designer on your podcast, and you can spend as much money as you want, but you don't necessarily have to. And as a Furnished Finder host, or think of it like an Airbnb, right? Airbnb, sometimes they'll say, hey, I'll leave a bottle of wine, or I'll leave this, and I'll do that. You don't necessarily have to do those extras. The little fine things are nice, like paper towels, some toilet paper, enough stuff to get them started. That's kind of their love language. You don't have to leave them a basket of fruit and a bottle of wine. Now, granted, they'll eat and drink it. It's totally fine to do that. It could set you apart. You could work the reviews. It's fine. But these are traveling professionals. They don't expect it. They don't need it. They would rather save the money. Like, hey, just keep the bottle, save the bottle of wine and just keep the cost low. What else? What other?
And don't put them on the bottom floor. Never do that, because of any condo complex, you don't want anybody above them to. I tell them that every time I say, hey, yeah, this is the condo. I describe it to them, and it's on the top floor. No one's going to be on top of you, above you.
Yeah, if you have that, important. It's a selling point. I mean, your area, your property better than anybody. Just if you're away from your family, what would you want? You'd want a stocked kitchen. If you don't have a full kitchen, well, do everything you can. Get a, those, what are those toaster ovens? Get a hot plate. Get a nice microwave. Do whatever you can to make that space really, really nice, and you'll stand out. While you're marketing your place, do me one favor. Get professional pictures, or if you don't want to take professional pictures, at least make sure they're light and bright. Sending pictures that are really dark and blurry, and then going, hey, I'm not getting any travelers. Yeah, because your place looks gross. You got to showcase your place. Clean your car before you go on a date. It's the same thing. You have to get quality pictures. In my experience, that is the best thing you could invest in. And for a 1-bedroom, let's just say for a 2-bedroom condo, you can probably get it for $175, $150, maybe $200. Professional photographers, they come out and you've got 24 images that are crisp and bright. And we did this for a place in Dallas that we had. And I did it before and after. And the pictures that that we took, they were okay for the cell phone, but the pictures that guy took were just fantastic. And honestly, we were able to increase our rent because of it, because it looked that good. So it might be the best $150 you ever spent.
Got the wide angle lenses, man. It's very important. Yeah, the lighting. Yeah.
I don't know what they do, but they do it well.
Worth every penny.
Agreed.
And one thing, it's funny because you mentioned they like that homey feel, and what I've been noticing. I don't know about you, Myka, but for example, we have some rental arbitrages that so we're renting for somebody that they already came furnished, and it was because they were living in the place And then they said, oh, they moved somewhere else or this and that, but they kept it as a rental. But it had kind of, they left it. Well, I'm just going to rent it out, put it on Zillow Furnished, which that doesn't help at all when you put it on Zillow Furnished.
No.
Furnished Finder, it helps. But Zillow, people are, they don't care. They want to put their own stuff in there. But anyways, and it looked pretty nice, but it looked like a lived in, like a house, like a lived in house. They got a comfortable, kind of leather sofas and comfortable bed with actual, headboard and everything. It's not like if you look at a bunch of Airbnbs, it's all Wayfared out to the gills now, right? It's all Wayfair puked on Airbnb. And that's just, that was the trend. We all went that way. And we're like, you can get a futon for $150. Great. Throw it in my Airbnb. But I've noticed the ones that already came furnished look like someone, a lived-in place. Those are doing better than my Wayfair places. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm thinking that would maybe for travel nurses too, they find it, they get that homey feel to it.
Yeah, I think it's a fine balance. Like if there's egg plates and figurines everywhere, and it's just so cluttered, it looks like a grandma's house, and may not be perfect for you. But yeah, I think everything, if you can find that balance, then yeah. But if your place is, or if your stuff is dated and old and you're just trying to turn it around, you know what? Get creative. A slip cover for a couch, a white slip cover for a couch, you'll be amazed on how much it brightens up a room. So, think about stuff like that, where you don't necessarily have to go out and spend $5,000 on new stuff. But, if you could freshen it up, I think it'll do you well.
What are your thoughts on that, Myka? I'm curious.
Well, I don't know. I haven't noticed that. I don't have the old grandma's furniture sitting around, but I mean,
I didn't say grandma's furniture. I just said, nice, lived in place, not grandma's furniture. Repurposed, Myka.
This might not be good for advertising. No, but I do notice that Wayfair is definitely taking over, but I try to use a little bit of design on mine. But honestly, if you have good pictures, it's really about the pictures. Like he said, brighten them up. Like I had a photographer, he did an all right job, but Mahogany, my wife, she went in and just brightened them up immediately overnight. More people inquiring and requesting to stay.
You notice, Brian, well, you've had it all your life, but your name, Brian and Payne, with the Y and the I, it just messes with my brain. How many times have people messed that up in your life?
Yeah, well, you just said it. Brain. A lot of times I get brain pain. Brain pain.
Yeah, because I want to spell Brian with a Y and Payne with an I. It screws with me. Anyways, oh man, it's been a great show.
Well, at least my first name isn't Major, right?
Major. Brain the pain. Yeah. One more important question, Brian. Do you think I'd look good in a V-neck? You think?
Yeah, I think you could pull it off, dude.
Okay, cool.
Absolutely.
No hair or nothing. I'm good.
Oh, I mean, hey, that's good. You must shave. That's hard.
No, I'm a Mexican hairless. Oh man, this is fun. This is a great episode, man. We got the guy, the Furnished Finder guy, is on our show. This is a trip, man. This is awesome.
Yeah, I'm stoked to meet with you guys, and I listened to your shows before. Somebody forwarded it to me and said, "Oh, look at these guys. They're making it happen." So good on you for what you guys are doing. I'm happy to support you any way I can.
Thank you.
Yeah, we love Furnished Finder. With any website, it's anybody has been doing short-term rentals or whatever, and dipping their toes into the longer term, market. Nothing's perfect. Your website's really good, but like I said, nothing's perfect, and it's getting better every day.
Yeah, good. I'm glad you said that. We know it's not perfect, and it's one of those things. It's a labor of love that we're totally committed to, and so much of it is behind the scenes that we're doing, but we're also launching kind of new things with all of the kind of the new volume that we have, which is a good thing. We've got to kind of reconfigure the map. And that's taken up a lot of our time because, you're trying to make everybody happy, right? So you'll see some things come out to where the freshest properties get the highest ranking based on your activity. And we've got a lot of cool things for travelers as well set up. So we'll keep at it. And I think you guys will see kind of our commitment level. But bottom line is it works. And it's one of those kind of hidden gems that if you're a landlord and you want a bunch of tenant leads, and you're renting a place, you're looking for furnished or, looking for tenants like travel nurses and other business professionals, there's just nothing out there like it. And we're happy to be kind of in the position we are with this company and in this industry.
Yeah, and I noticed when you said about the activity thing, we get email alerts now. Hey, man, update your calendar, mofo. We get those, and that's cool because like you said, we're it's our job to we talk to these people, these travel nurses or professionals, and then we sign a lease with them, and everything's golden, and we forget to update our calendars. It's just that's the only thing. We just forget.
Yeah, no, and I get it, and this is that's going to help with that. Because if you're using the app, if you're going into the dashboard, if you're replying to tenant leads, if you're active in the system, you're going to get a higher ranking as opposed to just, that one thing. Hey, tell us what your availability is. It benefits you as the landlord and it benefits the traveler a ton because they don't like dead ends. On the front end, when they're reaching out to landlords, this is already rented. It's already rented. They're getting a lot of that. And so we're just, we realize kind of our opportunities for improvement and we're tackling it straight on. You'll see it.
I guess one more thing is it is $99 per property, right? And, you were gonna get to how, because about the fraud,
right.
People, yeah, and I kind of not know where you were going with that because when you make a sign and put our property on there, you want to see like an electric bill or something that ties us to the property.
Yeah, how long have you been
years?
Years. Okay.
Yeah.
So within that time, we've kind of developed a system to where every landlord that lists, they've got to go through a sophisticated vetting system. So you have to answer questions out of your credit report. So, what car did you drive in 2020? Who do you have a mortgage to of these? When did you get a loan here? And they'll answer questions. Have you ever lived at this property? And they'll list 5 different listings or 5 different properties. These are ways that we can find out and make sure that you are who you say you are. If anybody can create a listing, even on Airbnb, there's fraud everywhere. And there are full places that just look for vulnerabilities. So we invested so much time and money and effort into locking down our system. So essentially, if you can't answer these questions that anybody should be able to answer about your own credit history, we'll refund you your money and you can't list on our platform. That's how important traveler safety is on our platform.
That's great. Because has it always been like that, or?
We've always had certain things, and you mentioned, we'll send in a phone bill or send in a utility bill and a driver's license. That's just not good enough anymore.
Right.
Everything can be forged. They'll spin up a license and a fake utility bill around a fake ID. So it's just not good enough. And if you can get the data on a public website, so can they.
Yeah, I guess that makes me feel a little better because I used to trip out. I'd be like, okay, travelers will reach out to me. I talk to them. I like your place. Yeah, I want to rent it starting on the 1st. Okay, great. This is how much, deposit and rent. And then they'll Venmo me the money. Okay, I can't wait to move in. I'm like, wow, they just sent me a whole bunch of money. They don't even know me, you know. but,
Right.
but I'm glad you said that, you know. But for
Yeah,
them,
we got a Facebook group, and I know that you guys you mentioned something about Facebook Messenger. Well, our Facebook groups are good for information, but bad for transactions and commerce because it's the same thing. You know, Facebook Marketplace is riddled with it, and Facebook groups are they're not private, they're not secure. So yeah, travelers really do have to be careful, as you mentioned. So the one thing that we can say is, hey, when there's a listing on Furnished Finder, they've been vetted, they've been authenticated. We know that they are who they say they are.
Nice, man. Nice. It's been a great episode. I'm glad you hopped on with us.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it, guys. Yep. Stay in touch.
Oh, I did have one more question.
Bring it.
A lot of us guys and gals that are doing the hosting and short-term rentals, we have a bunch of properties. I mean, I got 26 properties right now on short-term rentals, arbitrages and ones we host. Yet the price is still $99 each one. You have any kind of like thing in the works where like people like us can put add additional ones for cheaper?
There's not a lot of margin on that $99. $99 thing. I mean, if you think about it, you guys list on Airbnb as well. So, if you think about the fees that are paid out, the $99 pays for itself with its very, very first tenant. If they stay 1 month, the system has already paid for itself. So since there's just not a lot of margin on that, and again, it's not an accident that cost is so low, and that's also one of the reasons I think why we have a lot of the properties that we do, over 70,000 on the map. So, I mean, we can always talk offline and, talk about a bro deal, but we work with companies that, that are listing thousands at the same price.
Cool. You can hook up Live Let Thrive, Brian. It's cool.
Bro deal. Come on, just talk.
Cool, man. Any more questions, Myka?
Man, that was it, man. That was a lot of good information. I loved it. I'm definitely on Furnished Finder all the time. I have a whole VA going through there and grabbing all the leads out of there. So definitely been very helpful. And thank you for creating the platform and the opportunity.
Yeah, it's our pleasure, guys. As you guys are using it, feel free to reach out to me. I love hearing from customers. Tell me what we can do better. Tell me what you'd like to see. We'll build it. We're committed to you guys. So, yep. Thanks for having me on as well.
Yeah.
Thanks for hopping on.
All right.
Furnishedfinder.com. Furnishedfinder.com.
Furnishedfinder.com. Thanks a ton.
Thank you, Brian.
All right. Pleasure. See y'all.
See ya.
Man, that was Brian Payne from Furnished Finder. That was a really good convo, man. Really good convo. Learned a lot. Definitely had a lot of questions. I kind of wanted to go a little bit more in depth on that, on like the data. But yeah, he touched on a little bit. Like, I really wanted to know, like, are they like, is there more people going for the single rooms or the houses? But yeah, it was a great show. A lot of information there.
I know that a lot of our listeners are gonna be like, "Damn it! Why didn't y'all ask him this? Why didn't y'all ask him that?" Because I know that almost everybody that I know is on a Furnished Finder. It's kind of obligatory. You got to be on there, right?
Yeah. No, we should on guests like this in the future. We'll start, polling it out. Like, hey, what questions you want us to ask? So definitely we'll do a little bit more.
We'll do a round two. We'll pull it out. As far as right now, liveletthrive@gmail.com. You can hit us up at our personal emails. That's fine too. I get questions from there sometimes. And thanks for listening to our show. Like the leaders of the industry hop on our show. We're doing in our freaking little pod rooms. Isn't that? It just trips me out every time. It's like these movers and shakers in the short term and long term rental industry are wanting to come on Live Let Thrive, and that's pretty fun.
You have over 200 hours of content. What do you mean? Of course they want to come on here. Of course.
I know it. I know the why, but it still trips me out. I'm like, wow, this is just something we
started in Hurst, Texas, man.
Yeah, and the seed started in over in Arlington at the meetup, and then it was a stocks. Yeah, it was my little stock investing club, and you hopped in. It's cool. We love doing this show, man. Like I said, movers and shakers hop on here all the time. So if you want to hop on here, you got to bring it. And thank y'all for listening and supporting and all the great reviews. We get a lot of cool reviews on leave us a review on Apple iTunes.
Yeah, Apple Podcasts. Leave us a review. You know what I'm saying? I know sometimes we get a little unprofessional here, but we try to keep it 100, keep it a buck as much as we can.
That's what they love about us. We keep it real, man.
Yeah. We'll tell you some shit. But man. Thank y'all for continuing to listen. It's been fun doing this, man. It's been that's 4 years since 2017 we've been running this, man. It's been awesome, and then we've been growing with it, so it's really fun. I got some big news to announce on the next Me and You episode. We'll definitely be tuning in, tapping into another episode soon.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah, yes sir. So all right, man. Thank y'all for listening. We are out.
Peace.
Later.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Live, Let, Thrive. Be sure to tune in next week for all the latest in the world of Airbnb and all that entails. Bye-bye.